This fresh-faced Michael Schumacher went through an absolutely absurd journey during his first 2 weeks in F1. It was a saga that included a war of negotiations, some not-so-hospitable accommodations, and also being locked out of the team garage as his first practice session was about to begin. Home track paddock here with the details, let's get into it. Michael's call-up from the Mercedes sports car team to the Jordan F1 team came at the 1991 Belgian Grand Prix, as he was set to replace jailed driver Bertrand Gauchot. Schumacher's manager Willy Weber paid team owner Eddie Jordan £150,000 for Michael to make his debut at Spa. And I just love this story because it shows how wildly different F1 was 3 decades ago. Now, interestingly, at the time, Schumacher had never driven the track, so how did he get familiar with the layout? Not by car, but by bike. Without initial access to a car, he rode a foldable bike to get his bearings straight around Spa. He somehow cycled 2 laps around the calendar's longest circuit. I mean, can you imagine biking all the way up Redallion twice? After what must have been an exhausting ride, he was treated to Jordan's accommodations, which were a far cry from F1's current glitzy standards. Instead of checking into the trackside luxurious Hotel de la Source, where you'd find today's F1 stars, he was put up in a bunk bed in a girl's dormitory. Things continued to snowball that weekend as Michael turned up for Friday practice only to be locked out of the Jordan garage. Bailiffs had claimed that the team needed to pay off some debts before they'd open it up. Practice went on without Michael. Eddie Jordan asked top F1 boss Bernie Ecclestone for help. They eventually got someone to motorcycle around the entry gates to collect ticket sales and pay the bailiffs off. But of course that cash came up a little short. So Ecclestone personally chipped in to pay off the remaining balance and the gates were finally opened after practice concluded. However, the next day Schumacher's journey to greatness officially began. He qualified 7th for the race, which is extremely impressive considering just how little practice he had. But unfortunately for him and Jordan, a clutch issue took him out on the first lap of the race. After Michael's turbulent yet promising Spa debut, Ecclestone had seen enough. Ecclestone saw Michael as an opportunity to grow F1 interest in Germany, as he stated, "I have prayed for a German all my life," and he felt that the well-resourced Benetton team should be his landing spot. With Monza up next on the schedule, Ecclestone, Jordan, and Bennington executive Flavio Briatore met in Lake Como to determine Michael's future. The late-night negotiations at the Villa d'Este hotel caused a stir as Ecclestone scurried from room to room trying to work everything out. The phone lines lit up all night long with curious parties trying to get the inside scoop. Michael kept calling every hour to see where his destiny would lie. Meanwhile, Bennington owner Luciano Bennington phoned in from New York, wanting to know just who this Michael Schumacher character was. Ecclestone promised him that Michael would be world champion and that in 3 weeks everyone would forget this mess. And sure enough, the first part of that promise came true. But today, remember the mess that got him to that point. Ultimately, Schumacher joined Benetton as him and Robert Moreno switched seats for the Italian Grand Prix. But for Eddie Jordan, this whole saga really put in perspective how much control Ecclestone wielded in F1. After the negotiations, Ecclestone reminded Eddie that it was him at the lock garage in Spa who bailed the Jordan team out, and financially he needed Michael to be in a better spot, which was at Bennington, and that was that. Interestingly enough, Jordan's team got a bit of redemption at Spa by picking up their first ever victory at a chaotic 1998 Belgian Grand Prix. Jordan would go on to win 3 more races before the team was ultimately sold to the Midland Group in 2005. On the other hand, Michael would end his illustrious career in 2012 with 91 race victories and 7 World Driver Championships, with his first 2 happening at Bennington. Now I'm curious, how differently do you think both Jordan's and Schumacher's futures would have turned out if Michael never switched teams?